So we have an official
Yeah.
Hal Jordan now. Kyle Chandler is going to be Hal Jordan in the HBO Lantern series. There's no casting for Jon Stewart yet. I'm sure that's going to come around right around the corner. This person was not, I don't think this was a name that was in any of the choices, which means that all the other people that were up for it probably said no. However, in my opinion, out of the choices we had, this is not a bad choice. Kyle Chandler's a great actor, and I think he's going to do a really good job.
It's better than a lot of the choices that were there. I think the only people that were probably better suited were Timothy Olyphant and Chris Pine. I think the concerning thing is if they were all approached, they all partook in meetings and stuff and all turned it down. That's the only thing I'm like.
One of the comments that was made, like they quoted, was it was wishful thinking.
No, they said that wishful thinking is that like it's like you're going for like a 10 out of 10 chick walking down the street. It's like, fuck, you're never getting that, man. Like, just keep walking. Like, that's the sort of thing that like wishful thinking, or like, putting like $100 on like I'm going to win the lotto tonight. Okay. Wishful thinking there. But I think the thing is that they were going for a movie star, and like Kyle Chandler is like specifically TV. Like he's known as like the TV.
Well, there's
like
no
premium TV.
We do have a thing here that talks about like more on it. Let me see if it's
for me. Meg was actually wishful thinking for Supergirl, but
so it says his contract does not involve any movie component, so he has been cast for the series only right now.
Which probably means that Hal Jordan dies come the end of the series.
Okay, so I have my opinion about that, but let's look at the rest of this here. So filming begins in January 2025. Described as having a gritty True Detective vibe, as will focus on Jordan reluctantly mentoring a young Lantern, Jon Stewart. There's a lot to unpack there. I have a lot of opinions about this. I know that Kyle Chandler is almost 60. I think he's like late 50s.
He's 58, yeah.
Okay. Which means that Hal Jordan is done. They're not going to use this character other than to train Jon Stewart, making him the main Lantern probably. So the casting for Jon Stewart is much more important, I think, than the casting of Hal Jordan in this film universe. Would you agree with that? Everybody kind of agree with that there?
Well, I think that's why they just need to get somebody that they know could do the job. It's not someone that needs this ridiculous prep time and stuff like. Obviously, needs some sort of prep time going into the role, but it's not this thing of like a lot of baggage. You need to perform because you're going to have this role for the next 8 years. If you fuck it up, you fucked it up. Like,
yeah.
If it was really unimportant, they could have just they had an actor already playing who played Green Lantern. Just bring him back and be like, hey, this is.
I think they want a fresh start on that, though. I didn't think they want any baggage.
And also, why would that? Yeah, it'd be silly to bring like Ryan Reynolds again. Remember that?
That's what I was
very
like.
Well.
It would be kind of funny though.
He wouldn't have done
it.
It
would be funny, but
he would have stuck his middle finger at James Gunn.
You'd be like, you're doing it as a joke. You're using it. Yeah,
he can make more jokes about it in Deadpool.
Well,
if he ever comes back, it'll be like Crisis type role for they can kill him off. Just to be like, I can't.
If he was going to die, he would have come back.
Yeah. So so I have a few issues with this to unpack. I want to pull up Cody's comment though. It says it probably means they're doing Parallax Hal. I would say that except for the fact there's no movie contract with Kyle. So if we're gonna get Parallax, I feel like that's a character big enough that it would encompass a film. And
I think anyone asking for Parallax doesn't. Like Parallax takes so much setup, like
and we're not gonna get that with this Hal. That's the thing.
You have to have Hal be the Green Lantern and have shit happen to him. Otherwise, you're just doing Parallax and it doesn't work.
So that's part of my issue, Paigey. So go ahead, Darren. Before I get into this, what were you gonna say?
No, I mean someone who doesn't know who Parallax is. Like, is he typically like a Justice League villain, or is he more exclusively? He's
a villain of all the Lanterns. Like he's a massive villain of every type of
Wasn't
Lantern.
he the villain in 2011?
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, but that was not a good version of Parallax.
That played into the issue with the movie where they rushed a lot of the lore and stuff like that.
Here are my pros and cons. My pro is I like Jon Stewart. I don't mind Jon Stewart being the main Lantern. He's got great stories. I think he works well in a team dynamic. I actually think Jon Stewart is a better team character than Hal Jordan is, to be completely honest.
Sure.
I think he works better in a team.
However, that is my. I didn't realize you had a however. You can go on.
However, I don't like the idea that we're passing over Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
Like that I don't like. So,
I think that could be something that rubs people the wrong way, depending on how they handle the Hal Jordan thing. If all their focus is on developing John Stewart, and you're just having Hal Jordan there as like a jigsaw puzzle in regards to developing John Stewart, and you do Hal dirty, that can leave a bad mark on John Stewart.
I mean, I can see them killing off Hal to further John Stewart's character development. That seems to me like a very high probability.
Before here is that the biggest issue with John Stewart, if he is going to be the main Green Lantern, is that he's never really worked as the main Green Lantern, as like a solo Green Lantern.
He's always been a team. He's worked better as a team player.
Team player, whether it's in the Justice League or just with other Green Lantern core members. So, but the only thing I can think of is that he will be like the face of the Green Lanterns in this world. So you'll see him in the Justice League. You'll see him next to Superman, next to Batman, next to whatever they want to do. But they have someone else come in and be the one that has their solo adventures, which I'm hoping is Jessica Cruz, because I think it's a character that has a lot of potential in regards to the backstory and then when she actually becomes a Green Lantern. But then there's also Kyle Rayner, who I have a feeling that's who James Gunn would like, because he was a Green Lantern when, like, I think Gunn read a lot of his comics when, like, Gunn was... Because when you look at, like, some of the characters that Gunn's bringing in, it's very late 80s, early to mid 90s and stuff like that. So that's where I could see... That's a Green Lantern I could see coming in as like the one that does the solo stuff.
It's an easier pill to swallow because of how the fact that Guy Gardner is the third Green Lantern in order if you go from the comics, because it was like Alan Scott.
I think that chronologically this entire universe is going to be fucked. I think
it's a mishmash. I think it's going to be all over the place.
For me, it's all over the place. Like swallow that Hal dies because of it. Like there's so many Earth Green Lanterns right now.
Well, no, I think if he dies, it's probably because something else. Yeah, but I was gonna say probably some like alien creature thing kills him.
Yeah.
I
also want to point out Maestro's comment. That's pretty common. Like the Dark Phoenix character or any major storyline. That's why Avengers Endgame was such a big deal, because they took a lot of time building up that story and did it right. And a lot of other people want to jump that decade-long build up and just get right to it. And I think that's the wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
How would we... Sorry, go ahead.
I like the dark. I like the Dark Phoenix that turns into the nicer one. It stops like at Dark Phoenix. I'm like, there's more to Dark Phoenix. Keep going. Stop.
They only want Dark Phoenix. That's all they want.
Stop going on the boring one.
Darren, what were you gonna say?
Yeah. I mean, I James Gunn has kind of teased a little bit like he's willing to jump around in terms of the timeline, similar to taking inspiration from Star Wars. So like going to the past, going to the future. I do wonder if there's a world where we could get prequel films before a lot of these stuff is set. So like I've pitched like maybe Batgirl as Oracle in the mainstream timeline, but we do a prequel, movie where she's still Batgirl.
I mean, I think we might only get options for Elseworld stories. We might get a standalone Hal Jordan Elseworlds movie. You know what I mean? But that also brings this up from Anthony. This is the other issue I have with it. So Hal Jordan, Barry Allen friendship, the Hal Jordan Green Arrow, the Green Lantern Green Arrow story, never going to get that. By getting rid of certain characters or making them prominent in a weird chronological way, you skip over some really important and good stories from the comics that they're just passing up.
In my opinion, there's pillar characters in the DC world that branch off and allow for larger storytelling. Hal Jordan is one of them. Whether you want him to be the main Green Lantern, you can still do John Stewart, or at least have John Stewart be the Green Lantern in the Justice League and stuff like that. But you just lose some dynamics there. And like the one thing that's always I keep seeing peddle is that like this is going to be the most accurate DCU, which I knew straight from the gate wasn't going to be the case, because Gunn is always he's not just going to adapt something straight, because he just read the comic if that's the case. He's going to make it his own thing. Even when you look at Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad and the characters there. So anyone that was sort of peddling, like, get ready for this overly accurate DCU, I'm like, no, you probably don't know. You just don't. You don't know. Like, stop telling other people that.
Trust me, we didn't forget Serenity. I remember that awful costume and that whole situation.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think if Three was bringing up like Ryan Reynolds come back, I'd assume Guy Gardner is going to be treated like a joke. I'd assume that, which might trigger Guy Gardner fans, but surely that's why you cast Nathan Fillion, because it's such a silly choice for the character, but it plays into if you are going to.
And they know that he loves Green Lantern because he's been Green Lantern.
I'm just wondering, I'm just wondering, like, what it means for like the Flash. Are they just gonna have Barry Allen already dead?
Probably.
And Wally West is the Flash.
Well, this is kind of like what I was thinking they'd do with Barry and Wally. Like that's kind of what I imagined, is you would have Barry through maybe the first Justice League movie, him die, and then Wally take up the mantle. Was kind of the direction I thought they'd go.
But the only thing I can think of is if they're doing this, you were talking about the timeline thing, there's potential, like, so for, say, in 2024 and beyond, 2025, say when Superman comes in, Wally is the Flash. He is the Flash. He's the one running around, whether it's Keystone or Central City. But there's a different timeline thing. So when they do their Teen Titans movie, that's not set in 2024. That's set in 2009 or something like that. Barry Allen's the Flash. Wally West is Kid Flash at that point. Hal Jordan's 15 years younger. They cast an actor who's 15 years younger around the actor, like, can play off, I guess, Kyle Chandler, like someone that's just a younger Kyle Chandler or something like that. And then they play around with that. So you still get those characters in a short dose, and you get to see their place within the universe.
Yeah.
Then you can, and that also that adds a bit of an interesting, like, dynamic where you can have multiple characters or multiple actors, might I say, playing the same character in the same universe.
Yes.
So one's playing the 30-year-old version, one's playing the 50-year-old version. And obviously one of the concerns we brought up before is that this universe is only going to go for 8 to 10 years. But then that allows a lot of playtime, if you want to put it in the universe, by having these different things there, which I think would be really cool. I don't know if that's the way that's going to go about it, because that might be a hard sell. You're going to have 3 actors or something play the same character just in different time periods. But I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I kind of, my cool idea is actually them not just sticking with willpower. I think it would be nice to dabble in, you know, the other colors like violet and rage and other colors, like, and from the Green Lanterns.
I think the only
I'm
one you
thinking
probably
they will,
see is
but, you know.
you probably see yellow, because I mean, and maybe
Yeah, I mean,
I think probably see yellow Lantern Corps and red Lantern Corps. Just because
every
you
time,
get cool stuff there.
every time we see like the character in green, that Celestial, you know he's going to turn evil.
True. Yeah.
Do we think Lanterns is going to be like an anthology, like each season following a different set of lanterns?
I think it's one season that's done. I think that's why.
Yeah,
it's
because
Lanterns.
Anthony pointed out here that the DC EU Green Lantern series was going to be an anthology. And I think that there was a time when they were going to do something with Greg Berlanti's series. It was going to be something similar to that.
So that was the anthology one.
Yeah. And they kind of went away from that to do this. I think what's going to happen is James Gunn is going to make some decisions, to be quite honest, that are going to alienate certain fans. They're just not going to be into it.
Yeah. And I think that's not necessarily across the entire thing. It'd just be like he'll do one thing with a certain character where you go, I fucking hate that, and I really do not want to support that. But then he'll do something with another character like, that's exactly what I want. I love that. Thank you. And then there's other ones where like, I don't really care because I might not care too much about the character, so I'll go watch it.
I'm not a fan of the one seasons of Marvel because, you know, it when you go into a series, you expect more. And when you don't get more, you're like, what now?
Yeah.
But if it happens with like Penguin and Green Lantern, I'm like, there's really no point in watching it because you can like get the cliff notes.
Yeah, but you can do that about a movie. You can do that about a movie.
You don't have that emotional travel. Like, you don't get, if you start to love it, you will be sad when it's taken away from you. And I don't like that.
So Daddy Hates the Metal with a $2 super chat. Thank you for supporting the show. He says they could be setting up the DCU Blackest Night. And it is possible they could be doing that, but are we going to care about Hal Jordan after the series? That's the question.
Once again, but that plays into like exploring the past, because who cares about Blackest Night if you got this character you either spent little to no time with or no time? Like, who cares if, for example, if Barry Allen comes back to life if he's been dead in Blackest Night when we haven't spent time with him, or he's been in like 10 minutes of a movie? I'm like, and it could be a movie that people don't see. Like if it is Teen Titans, that might not make as much money as Superman or another movie. So to do Blackest Night, that has to be like Marvel's closer to doing something with Blackest Night if they want to, because characters have died.
It's crazy. The Nova show is going to explore space and different Nova people, but the Green Lantern show is going to be on Earth and it's going to kill a major character. I mean,
kill its main Green Lantern.
One of the things like I've been dying to see in animation or live action is the Death Metal with Batman turning into Red Death. And also,
I fucking hate that storyline.
And the Blackest Night. Those are the two ones that.
So
really
he wants to see the dark multiverse stuff, basically.
Yeah, I basically want to see that in animation or live action.
I think I'd rather see it in animation than live action.
I'd rather see it in animation too because there's you can be more like comic book accurate.